What is terrorism? We hear people talking about terrorism all the time. They say that this is terrorism, that's terrorism, he's a terrorist, they're domestic terrorists. All kinds of times and occasions when the term terrorism is tossed around. But what does it mean? What does it mean specifically? Well, quite simply, terrorism means using violence or the threat of violence in order to achieve a desired political outcome. It's usually executed or carried out by people who are political minorities, sometimes infinitesimally small political minorities. They use violence, random violence, to scare people so as to get what they want. I mean, they're bullies, quite frankly. That's what they are. They're bullies who are using the threat of violence, intimidation by way of violence, to get what they want. And in countries with weak leadership, this kind of terrorism works, of course, with weak leaders who kind of like bow before violence or the threat of violence. Well, you know, the terrorists are pretty soon going to take over the whole place. That's essentially what happened with the Bolsheviks. And it's happened with other terrorist organizations, but I'm not going to get into it. That's not what I want to talk about in this video. What I want to talk about is that, see, terrorism uses the threat of physical violence, like a bomb in a restaurant or a discotheque, or the political assassination of somebody prominent or somebody who's respected or whatnot. That's political terrorism violence. But what about the kind of terrorism that you and I are experiencing right now? Because we are experiencing terrorism right now. Yeah, ask yourself, you know, if you say the wrong opinion at work or on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, what can happen to you? You can lose your job. Yeah, you can lose your job and your ability to pay your bills. You could potentially lose your home, your family, everything that you've worked for because of what somebody says about what you tweeted or wrote on Facebook. Because it's not the words that you said on Twitter or Facebook that are the terrorism. No. It's the group of people, the minority, who will attack you and destroy your life because of what you said. And therefore, you make sure not to say anything that can draw these people's attention, the attention of these terrorists. Because that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about terrorism. We're talking about the cancel culture. The cancel culture is terrorism because it makes everybody afraid. So afraid that they dare not speak their mind. They dare not say anything that can draw the attention of these terrorists who will destroy your life. They're not going to throw a bomb at your house, although, you know, they almost did with Tucker Carlson. Remember when they went to his house and accosted his wife and children when they were alone? What the hell is that all about? That's terrorism. And they will destroy your life, not with a bomb, not with a bullet of an assassin, but rather by destroying your livelihood, destroying your business, destroying your position at work. That's how these terrorists operate. That's what the cancel culture is. Terrorism. Just like violent extremists who throw bombs and kill people in order to inspire fear in the populace, in order to inspire fear in the populace and therefore get what they want. Well, the cancel culture is the exact same thing. They scare people. They scare me, certainly. I was supposed to do a video on, a live stream rather, on Saturday about the Unabomber Manifesto. It's a really fascinating document. The guy is a crazy man murderer. I mean, I despise him as a man. But even though I despise the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski, as a man, I can still read what he wrote and get something valuable out of it. It's not necessarily that I agree with him, and I certainly don't agree with murdering random innocent strangers. But the point is, see, he had something valuable to say. I wanted to talk about it. But the terrorism of cancel culture forced me to not talk about it. The terrorists won against me. Yeah, I'm in a privileged position in the sense that, see, the cancel culture could terminate my YouTube channel. Big deal. It's not going to terminate my ability to earn a living, earn money to pay for my expenses, to support my family and whatnot. No, so it would ruin my hobby, but that's it. Big deal. But the cancel culture for most people especially people in with jobs or businesses. It can destroy their lives. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing real terrorism. And we have to stand up and say no. That's what we have to do. We have to do it now. We have to all together stand up and say no more cancel culture. And you know who these cancel culture people are. They're the weaklings in the society. They're the losers of society. They've got nothing going for them. And what they do is that they go through people's past, their tweets, anything they might have said, their comments and YouTube videos and whatnot, looking for something, anything, no matter how trivial and insignificant, no matter how under the radar or just vanishingly small it might be, they find that little nugget and then they exploit it to destroy a person. That's all they care about, destruction of people. They are terrorists. And how do you stop terrorism? Quite simply, by having a leadership with the gumption to stand up and say, no, this is destructive, it is destroying our society. No more. No more of this cancel culture. No more of destroying people for no reason. No more terrorism. No more having people being afraid all the time, because people, especially in the United States and the UK, they're afraid all the time. They're terrified that this Black Lives Matter insanity will come for them. Will come for their business, will come for their job, will destroy them. For what? For not kowtowing to these terrorists, these bullies. That's what they are. They are bullies, they are terrorists. And we have to say, no, enough. And we have to say it all together. We all have to stand up and say no to these people all at the same time. And stick up for one another. And when they try to cancel someone for whatever reason, no matter how much we might disagree with that person, we have to stand up and say, no, this cancel culture is insane, and we're not going to allow you to destroy the life of a person just because this is terrorism. This is what it looks like. You always think of terrorism as you know, these like Middle Eastern fellas. These Middle Eastern people all dressed up in rags, running around speaking Arabic and whatnot, and putting bombs and putting missiles and wherever and blowing cars up and stuff like that. You always think of terrorism in those terms because it's easy. It's almost like a caricature, like a cartoon. It's easy to look at terrorism like that, but terrorism is not about blowing up cars. Terrorism is not about assassinating some politician. Terrorism is about instilling fear in the people. Instilling fear in the people and driving the people in the direction that the terrorists want them to go. Driving the people in panic off a cliff. And that's what we're seeing. We are going off a cliff. And that's what these people want us to do. They want us to go off the cliff. They want us to self-destruct. They want us to feel so panicked that we will run off any ledge, off of any cliff, and fall all the way to the bottom. And we are already starting to see this. We are seeing how people degrade themselves and humiliate themselves for the mob. We are seeing how people will do anything to protect their little lives. And this is a horrible thing, and we have to stop it. And the only way to stop it is if we all together say no. And even when they start canceling people that we don't like, we have to say, no, that's not right. It's not proper or good to be kowtowing to terrorists, destroying somebody's life because of terrorist bullies. To tell you the truth, I feel ashamed that I gave in to these bullies and didn't do the stream that I was supposed to do. I feel truly ashamed of it. Because they won, they beat me. These terrorists beat me fair and square. They made me afraid enough for me to not do what I wanted to do. They made me too afraid to do a live stream about talking about some guy's book. I feel ashamed. And I feel, well, this was terrorism. Yeah, this is what it looks like. They instill fear in you and get you to do what they want.